What's really good, and welcome back to another episode of the Opinionated Ones, brought to you by the Sanchez Show. Of course, it's Friday Night Live, man, so we back at it as always. Eric Sanchez, aka Legend of Two Games, my main man Trip Young. Trip, how you doing today, bro?
Oh man, I'm good. I can't complain, man. I'm ready to get rocking and rolling. It's
I
a lot
know it,
going
man.
down.
Listen. I gotta say this, man. You know, we always like to take our victory lap, but we deserve a victory lap because we really been out here in the streets. A lot of work we've been putting out here. And the people, they've been appreciating. I can see the comments, man. I see the people loving what we're doing. They're engaging. So we always appreciate that. As I always say,
Facts.
you could be anywhere in the world on a Friday night, but you're here with us. Don't forget to tune in Sunday morning, 11 o'clock. We're back to 11 o'clock this Sunday. I think you guys are going to enjoy that one as well. But Trip, we got some stuff to get into, man.
Yes, sir. Let's just jump right in.
Let's start with some NBA talk. Now, I know everybody's got a little bit of Kyrie fatigue. We went in depth on him the last couple shows. This is not a Kyrie pile on show, so we're not looking to do that. We just stating the facts and reporting the news. And the facts are that his 5-game suspension should be ending tomorrow night when they take on the Clippers. Now, the Nets are on the West Coast right now for a 4-game trip. Then they head back home. You and I both talked in depth about this the last couple episodes, as I mentioned. The 5th game is tomorrow. Do you think the suspension gets uplifted after that? There's already been reports that the conversation with Adam Silver has gone well, as well as owner Joe Tsai. What are your thoughts, though?
I mean, it's sounding like everybody's coming from a positive place now. In regards to Kyrie, even Adam Silver, he made a pretty big statement in regards to Kyrie after they met. So it's looking like we're on course for that. And here's the thing, right? I feel like we kind of have to be, because if we're we're supposed to be a society of, you make amends for when you do something wrong. We're supposed to move on and allow you the opportunity to grow from whatever mistake that you made. So if that's the case, then you kind of have to open those doors back up for Kyrie, let him get back on the court and let him play basketball.
No, that's a fact. Mr. Unpopular Opinion is with us tonight. Will Gordon. What's going on, bro? How's everything with you?
What it do, baby? Hey,
You
so
already
good.
know, man. I see you got your charges going on. We're going to get into the charges. But I'm going to give you the same question that I gave Trip to start off. Like I said, I know we all got Kyrie fatigue. We don't want to spend too much time talking specifically about Kyrie and the whole situation. Though, actually, well, I will give you the opportunity to, because I know last week you was tied up. You had some other things going on, so you didn't get to join the show last week. But his 5th game is supposed to be tomorrow night against the Clippers, the 5th game of the suspension. We hear the rumors that the talks with Adam Silver have gone well, with Joe Tsai have gone well. Do you think he's officially back after tomorrow night, or you think they extend this a little longer?
Um, I don't like that they haven't announced anything yet. Like it's still like I feel like they should already have said what it's going to be. So I could see him extending it for real, just because they haven't already put it to bed. Why not just go ahead and say it now that's going to be the end of it. But so I mean I can see him extending it, but like you said, Kyrie says, I don't care at all. You know what I'm saying? It's like just either let the dude play, trade him, whatever the league goes on.
No, that's a fact. I mean, we know that the business and the game still goes on. We talked about that last week. My personal opinion, and I'll present this question to you, Will, like I said, because you weren't able to answer it last week. I don't think he ever plays for the Nets again. I think that's is over and done with at this point. I think there's too much damage that's been done, and not just from the suspension. I think too many people focusing on the suspension as opposed to the track record of everything that's taken place with the 3.5 years he's been there. But do you think there's a way that they can salvage this relationship and he actually stays with the Brooklyn Nets?
Uh, I don't know what his relationship is like with KD for real. Um, and I really don't know what it's like with him and Coach Vaughn. So I mean, it's probably be best for both sides if they go ahead and part ways, and he can start over somewhere else, and then they can move on. Because with everything that's been going on and all this drama, that cloud's going to be over the rest of his tenure with the team. So it's probably best to just cut ties and see, try to salvage what you can, and get some assets back.
We still got a lot of NBA stuff to get into. I don't want to. Again, this ain't a Paolo on Kyrie episode. We don't want to get too in depth on that until we get more news. And as you mentioned, Will, they could have already put this to bed and said, yeah, he'll be back this specific date. But right now, they continue to kind of drag it out and make it seem as if like there's still more things they have to do and things they have to work through before he hits the court. But Trip, I'm bringing back one of America's favorite segments. We're more than enough minutes in, so you two can't get mad at us because now we can actually curse at this point. The kids should be to bed at this point anyway. America's second favorite segment. 401k is still their favorite. But
okay,
fuck with it or fuck out of here was something that Will and I started last year. We're bringing it back. I think both of you guys are going to enjoy this topic, Will, because I know how you feel about this specific player and the team that you're signed up for the looks next two. But I propose this question to both of y'all. I'm going to start with you, Trip. I think, or let me know, you fucking with it or fuck out of here. The Lakers will trade Braun or AD before they trade Russ.
Well, I don't think they would trade LeBron. Just because like that would be crazy just because he's about to break the all-time scoring record this season. So I don't think they would trade Braun. But I could see them moving on from AD because I mean, one, the trade value is going to be extremely higher than anything you could possibly get for Russell Westbrook, and you'd probably be able to get a pick or two in return as opposed to having to give up those 2 draft picks that they would probably have to trade in any Russell Westbrook situation.
Will, I'm gonna let you jump in on that topic first.
Took out of here, man. I think Russell's the most attractive trade chip on the team because of the length of his contract, of what's left on it.
I'm about to say because it's over after this year. So.
Right, that's what I'm saying. It's an expiring contract. It's 40 something off your books, and I think he's the most available as far as actually playing games for you for the rest of the year out of the 3. They're not trading LeBron, even though that would be the best thing for them to do because they're not going to win a championship with him or another, outside of Summer League championship with him. And like, would you AD? What really can you get for AD? I don't think that the market is what it once was for him. With him being, Mr. Street Clothes and everything else. Like I don't think teams want to get in bed with such a player that they know is going to be on the sideline more than on the court.
Nah, but I still think his value is higher than Westbrook, though, man. Come on now. AD is 28 years old, 28 to 29. Like his trade value is definitely higher than Westbrook.
It don't matter if your body's 44.
Nah, I think he still got more trade value than Russ, just because one, in order to trade Russ, you got to find a team that can actually eat the rest of that contract, and that's easier said than done. Like you have to be a bottom of the bottom type team, and then even in that sense, what are we trading for? Like, what are you doing to sweeten up the pot for me? The reason that the pace of trade fell apart earlier this season was that the Lakers didn't want to give up 2 future first round picks, which is probably what it's going to take. Because again, what am I trading for Russ? Russ isn't making me a championship caliber team, and if I'm already tanking, I don't need Russ to tank because Russ plays too hard. Russ ain't just gonna come in and tank it away. He's gonna try to play hard and put up numbers and win games. So you got to give me a little something. I think Anthony Davis is going to be available, and Braun is tougher. From the historical aspect, they want him to be in that uniform when he breaks the record. Braun would have to come out, I think, and tell them, I don't want to be here for them to move him. But I think AD, you can move him. And I think for AD, if Rudy Gobert could get you 4 first-round picks, you can at least get 2 firsts for Anthony Davis. You can at least get 2 or 3 firsts for Anthony Davis and probably get 1 or 2 quality players right now. For the Lakers, where it gets tricky for me is if you don't make a deal, we all know they're not a championship caliber team, right? I don't think anybody's fooling themselves to think that they're a championship caliber team. If they do make a deal, there isn't a deal big enough they can make that turns them into a championship caliber team. Even a Buddy Hield, Miles Turner deal only makes them a fringe playing contender team, but it doesn't turn them into an elite Western Conference team. So what are you trying to hold on to this relationship of LeBron and AD for? Start breaking it down now. Trade AD, get as many picks as you can, get a couple quality guys in there, maybe make a secondary move and make yourself a fringe playing team still with Braun. But at least you give yourself a little bit of hope because the Lakers don't even have their own first-round pick this year. So the way they're headed right now, they're going to be a lottery team. And the Pelicans, every loss, the Pelicans are getting more and more excited by the idea of possibly being the number one, having a number 1 pick and being a playoff team.
Hey, listen, it happened to the Spurs, and they wound up getting Tim Duncan. So,
well, the Spurs are a little different. Robinson was hurt that whole year. That's how they was able to get that spot. Probably the most iconic is that Piston team that ended up having a top 3 pick, and they end up taking Darko instead of taking Melo. But it's very few instances that you have a young team that's a playoff team that also is able to get a high lottery pick. So if you're the Lakers, I think you kind of gotta scrap this already. They're at a point where it's getting uglier and uglier. You don't have any picks. It's not like you have somebody who's injured who's going to be coming back to salvage this thing for you. It's not like you're waiting for that one guy to come off the injury list. This is your squad. This is all you got. Yeah. Moving Russ to the bench don't change nothing.
Yeah.
No, I don't know. Just my thoughts, man. Let me know. Is there any other NBA stuff y'all want to get into? Will, anything else on the docket you wanted to get into on the NBA?
I'm still not fully invested in the NBA, man. I really don't get there until Christmas.
You don't want to shout out your boy, Kyle Kuzma? He had a big night. He was proud of himself.
Get too high, get too low, all that kind of stuff, man. That's
your man was kind of bold by saying I've been telling him to run the offense through me though.
Yeah, that was a bit much, bro. That was really. It's Kuzma though. He be wearing them big sweaters to the game, so I can't even. You know what I mean? Like that's just his style.
The Wizards, man. We just on the fast track to nowhere. With nowhere still as usual. And every night, every game that I watch, and when Brad's out there, or if he's not out there, all I see is his contract. Every time I see him, and
would you rather have Westbrook or Bradley Beal?
Westbrook.
I know you was gonna say that.
Well, I was gonna bring it up when we was talking about who would you trade first. I was gonna say I would trade Brad right now for one more year, Russ, and to get rid of Brad's contract. I'd do that immediately.
You'll trade Bradley Beal for Russell Westbrook?
Yeah.
Man, they need you to be the GM of the Wizards so we can make that thing happen.
I know you take him.
Hell yeah, we take Bradley Beal. Jeez.
Bradley Beal is not worth what he's getting paid.
He's not, but you can't give him up straight up for Russ, though.
Well, the contract's a match.
Yeah, the contract's
you can't because all right.
Then build them.
I'm being greedy, Eric. Come on.
No.
Just roll with me.
The contracts match. I'm not disputing that. But all right, Will, I'm playing devil's advocate here, right? You trade them straight up. So what's your plan over the next 3 to 5 years then?
Cap space.
All right, so name me the last free agent that signed with the Wizards.
Bradley Beal.
He wasn't a free agent. That was a homegrown talent that y'all kept.
Well, that's the news. Can't talk about the other players. When was the last time we had that amount of cap space?
Well, didn't you have enough cap space to possibly sign KD when he became a free agent in what was that 2018?
Yeah, that 1 year. KD was the prize.
KD was not going to the Wizards ever in life.
My point, if you're the Wizards, unfortunately, the Wizards are in the spot where you have to grow it internally. And like we talked about, I don't like Brad's contract, so I'm not trying to defend his contract. I'm just saying that you keep it. It's kind of a marker on the books, and then you find a way to flip it for better assets, preferably a lot of draft capital and maybe 1 or 2 quality guys that are ready to play. I don't think that's the move, though. I think the move for you guys is probably Denver. I think you could fleece Denver of some pieces and start your rebuild that way. But to get Russ for 1 year, all Russ going to do is play hard enough to get you onto the playing game. Y'all not going to get a high enough draft pick to be impactful. And then you're going to be on this same kind of hamster wheel again for the next 3 or 4 years, where it's like, yeah, we got some cap space, but we ain't signing nobody significant enough to change this. We're going to keep signing mid-tier free agents that make us just good enough to be in the playing game or on the outside of the lottery.
I don't think, from what I've seen from Wes Unseld Jr., I think Russ by itself without Bill, there's no way that we make the playoffs or the play-in. The East is a lot better than what we thought it was going to be, what I thought it was going to be. And I don't see them being hovering around 8, 9 on a team with just Russ and Kuzma. And
the unicorn. You got the unicorn there as well.
That's true. You do.
So where's the shooting?
Well, you got the unicorn. You
got Westbrook.
You got Kispert. You got Kispert. You got that guy. You got Johnny Davis. Remember Johnny Davis? You got him.
And you got Kylie Kuz. Kylie Kuz.
I'm telling you,
the shooter.
Listen, I think the deal for Bill.
I think trade we would tank. I think we would tank by accident, like not trying to tank. We're just not talented. We wouldn't be talented enough.
I'm telling you, the deal might be Denver. I think Denver might be a little desperate to kind of speed up their process. You might be able to get a Michael Porter Jr., a Bones Highland, and a couple other picks and start your rebuild.
Now, so you think they're gonna trade him? No, I don't think they trade him.
Problems.
All right, so all right. So would you take? Let's say, would you take Jamal Murray? Let's say, would you take Murray, Aaron Gordon, and 3 first-round picks
for Bradley Beal?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
You better take that shit.
And that's what I'm saying. Denver might find themselves again. This is hypothetical. I didn't even really think much about the salaries matching up, but in terms of what Denver probably would have to give up for Brad, that's probably going to be the price tag for him.
Yeah,
that's what I said. You could get more than trading him for Russ. Trading him straight up for Russ. Why? Russ is an expiring contract that you don't want to keep long term anyway. At least give me a couple future picks, even if they top 5 protected. I'd rather take a couple future picks with knowing, hey, we got a little bit more in the arsenal to make a secondary move than taking Russ. Because when Russ number come off the books, then what you left with? You just left with
do that.
Say that again.
And why do you do that if you're Denver? Jamal Murray is better than Bill.
Because if you're Denver, you might have to speed up the process with Jokic. You already gave Jokic the big money. Michael Porter Jr.'s big money starts now. They're locked into this team. They don't have many outs. This is going to be their team. So if they let's say they get to the All-Star break and they like, yo, even at our best, we're still only the 4th or 5th best team in the West. We got to make a move to try to up this and see if we can take advantage of this situation. Because the rest of the West, Luka's coming out West. We already see what Luka's starting to do. He coming out West. Golden State ain't really going nowhere. Phoenix is still in the mix. It's going to be tough out West. Denver's going to have to make a move soon because I don't think that the way they're currently constructed, there's only but so many times you can keep trying it the same way before you got to revamp it.
Yeah, they have to make a move because honestly, I don't see them making it out of the second round of the playoffs with the team as is. Like I just think, Golden State is way better. Luka's a one-man circus, and then you still got to deal with Memphis. Don't forget that if Kawhi can play more than 2 games in a week, maybe you got that. You got the Clippers in the playoffs as well. It's going to be a tough road for them. And then don't forget about Minnesota. I think Minnesota's going. They're probably going to be around too. So it's going to be a rough road for Denver. They kind of have to change things around. I don't know if necessarily if Bradley Beal is the answer, but they have to do something because they're gonna just be one of those. We make it to the playoffs every year, but that's about it.
Yeah, and the 3 young guns of the West that we expect to be future. You talking about Dallas? You talking about Memphis? You talking about New Orleans? Mm-hmm. All 3 of those teams already got their marquee talent with cap space, with draft picks to improve their roster. All 3 of those teams are expected to be playoff teams for the next 6-7 years. if you're Denver, where do you fall in line? Because Denver's another one of those places as well. Marquee free agents do not go to Denver. So it don't matter about cap space. That means nothing to them. They got to find a way to be creative with what they have and the draft picks they have. That's why I think you could, maybe it doesn't happen this season, but maybe in the off season, that's one of them conversations. Like Tripp mentioned, if Denver gets bumped in the second round, they may have to take a hard look at their roster and say, all right, this isn't enough for us to win. We need to upgrade somewhere. And maybe Bradley Beal as our number 2 guy behind Joker is the move to make.
I mean, you seen what Utah just did? They just blew up the whole team. They realized it wasn't going to work with Mitchell and Gobert, and they got both of them up out of there.
Yep. And I mean, Utah's obviously been the biggest surprise of the season. I think they're still going to try to tank at some point, though. But this is very smart by Danny Ainge. They got a lot of picks. This team isn't good enough to really be a 50-win team. So you showcase these guys. And by All-Star break, you probably flip Colin Sexton. You probably flip Lauri Markkanen. They definitely going to flip Jordan Clarkson, who's an expiring contract.
Yep.
And then second half of the season, they'll fall apart. But for the first half, it'll look great. A team like the Lakers might overpay for Jordan Clarkson. They might send 2 firsts and an expiring contract to Utah just to get him. You know what I'm saying? A team might overpay for Lauri Markkanen because he's off to such a hot start. But I think if you, like I said, if you're the Wiz, you take it easy with Bill. You got him. He's a mark on the table now. You don't have to cash him in right away. I know, Will. I know you're frustrated by it.
I just don't.
I know you're frustrated by it, man. I know you're frustrated. Listen, before we get to some NFL talk, got to remind everybody, make sure you are subscribed to the Sanchez Show, streaming across all major platforms. We do this every Friday night. This is the Friday Night Live with the opinionated ones as part of the Sanchez Show. And tune in on Sundays, Sunday, 11 a.m., Real Fans, Real Talk, and the Sanchez Show. We get together. It's a pregame show. You know, before the kickoff, we get together. We give you guys everything that's going on in the world of sports. But let's get into some NFL talk, man. Let's get into some picks. Let's get into what we like coming up. I'm going to start with you, Will, because you got your gear on. I expected you to have your gear on. I know that already. But we're going to start with that game because that's one of the few marquee games this weekend. The Chargers going to San Francisco. I give Herbert a lot of credit because Jay Herbo's been playing really well despite the limited weapons and in spite of a really bad head coach. I think we're all in agreement of how bad he is as a head coach. What are you expecting to see in this game in San Francisco?
Well, this is my upset pick of the week. Since we going the right way. Since we talking about the game.
Talk your shit, man.
Talking about the game. We got every reason to lose this game. Hey, we banged up that receiver with Keenan Allen and Mike Williams already out, been declared out this week. Bosa's still out, which he's not ready. He's making his way back, but he's not ready. The 49ers unleashed Christian McCaffrey the week before. When he had the outstanding performance with the receiving touchdown, the rushing touchdown, and the passing touchdown. And I believe Debo's back this week too. So we haven't seen McCaffrey and Debo on the field at the same time yet. So they have every reason to win the game, and it's on the road under the lights on Sunday night. But every time I think it's going to go one way because it's all lined up to go one way, it goes exactly oppo. So I'm seeing, I think with, like you said, the way Justin Herbert's been playing, in spite of the lack of weapons and in spite of the head coach, we got a quarterback that's just special. With everybody watching and all odds against us, I'm taking my Chargers, man. Why not? I'm taking my Chargers to steal one on the road. I'm thinking something like around 23-17. Like I feel like we can go in there and steal one, man.
Wow. That's Super Bowl, but I like it and I respect it. I understand why. Like I said, Herbert is playing amazing right now. I don't think he's getting as much credit as he should because he's playing behind a banged up offensive line with pretty much their 4th and 5th string wide receiver at this point and still finding a way. Tripp, how do you see this game playing out in San Fran?
Well, I'm sorry. The last couple of weeks I've been pulling for you guys. I've been picking, the Chargers to win games week after week. but I just don't see them going into San Fran coming off a bye week, and dealing with that defense. When you're talking about Mike Williams is going to be out, when you're talking about what's the other receiver on up? Keenan Allen is going to be out. And listen, I got Austin Eckler in one of my fantasy leagues, so I would love for him to go off and have 200 yards combined. But I just don't see them going into San Fran. Coming out of their bye week when they've had time to really game plan for a lesser Chargers offense, and them still in this game. This will probably have to be the upset pick of the week for me if they won that game.
Yeah, this would be big, man, if they could find a way to win it. And Trip, you had them as your 401k pick last week. You had the Chargers as your pick. So, like you mentioned, you've been riding with the Chargers. Yeah, I think this is a tough spot for them, though, man, because the Niners get so many guys returning this week. I believe they're getting 8 starters back combined on offense and defense. So they had that whole week to prepare. And we can't ignore probably the biggest advantage the 49ers have, which is that coaching. Kyle Shanahan is far better as a coach than Brandon Staley. I also think this might be a little bit of a trap game for you guys, Will, because next week you guys get that rematch against the Chiefs, which has already, I believe, been flexed to the Sunday night game, right? So
we ever get back-to-back Sunday night games now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I think in most cases I wouldn't view it as a trap game, but I think in this case it is, because I could see the Chargers kind of looking ahead. You guys are only 1 game back of the Chiefs right now. You might get caught looking ahead because you felt like you should have beat them earlier this season. But I also think the Niners are starting to click right now. What we saw, they integrated McCaffrey. They're going to get the receivers back. Brandon Ayuk's had a good year so far. They're getting healthy defensively. This is a very tough spot, I think, for a banged-up Chargers team. If all was equal and it was healthy on both sides, I would like the Chargers here. But I can't go with them here, man. I think the 49ers win this. I think the 49ers win it pretty easily. Not in a blowout, but I could definitely see this being somewhere in the range of I want to say 26-17, fringe 2-score game, something like that. Because I think the Chargers are going to have trouble moving up and down the field on them, man. Don't worry, Will. It's y'all against the world, man.
See about that. Yeah, we'll see.
It's you guys against the world, man. Let's get into the other big game of the weekend. The Vikings going to Buffalo. Now, I don't know if y'all heard this, man, but Josh Allen is hurt, right? We hear the reports. But there's some people saying that this might be a season-ending injury, that this is a rotator cuff injury.
Oh, that would be crazy if that was the case. I hope it's not.
I heard that yesterday from an NFL insider, that the rumor is this is a rotator cuff injury, and the Bills are trying to decide whether he's going to play not only this week, but if he's going to need surgery. That completely shifts the AFC. We know that. Completely shifts it.
Tell you right now, if that happens, don't be surprised if the Jets win the division.
Who told you this? I didn't hear this season-ending stuff.
It's Peter Schrager from NFL Network was on a podcast yesterday and said that the reports he's hearing out of Buffalo are that this could be a rotator cuff injury. These are the reports he's hearing. He's not confirming that's what it is, but he's saying the reports he's hearing is that this is more of a rotator cuff injury and that it could be season-ending if he can't find a way to play through it. Now, I don't know how this correlates to baseball, but I know in baseball, you mess up your rotator cuff, you're out for the year.
Yeah.
Josh Allen, he's a tough dude. I'm just saying, if I end up breaking the news, remember where we talked about it first, because that's what I heard.
Case Keenum ain't horrible.
I mean, yeah, but he ain't getting you to the Super Bowl, though.
Come on now. Come on.
5 yards, though.
Hear what?
He not giving you 500 yards, but.
And Case Keenum ain't running the ball either, because Josh Allen's their leading rusher.
Yeah, that would be huge. I was following that today, and I didn't hear anything about that, about a season-ending type situation. That's my fantasy quarterback. Okay, I've been eyeing this very closely, monitoring the situation, and as of when I was looking at today, I didn't see anything about it being a season-long kind of thing.
I'm gonna look up the report right now, because like I said, I know for a fact I heard that yesterday on a podcast I was listening to. I don't want to reference that podcast because we're not shouting out no other networks, but he was on there and he said, based off the information he has received, Now, if Josh plays Sunday and plays well, then maybe all the reports are wrong. But as we record this on Friday night, it's a little past 9:30. The last I heard that they were still taking it day by day, and they had not announced if he was even going to play Sunday. Let me know if you've heard anything different, Will.
How do you go from day to day to the season?
No,
Well,
ESPN and most outlets reporting day to day. Peter Schrager is saying that his intel is telling him this could potentially be a season-ending injury.
Oh,
yeah. ESPN was saying, coach was saying he's looking at this as an hour to hour. Like they really don't know what's gonna happen come Sunday. Which I mean, it really sucks because Josh Allen is having an incredible season. Buffalo is really on track to get to the Super Bowl. So, but if you lose Josh Allen, that none of that happens, and just because of how the team salaries work, this might also be the closing of their window as well. Because you gotta think about it, right? They still gonna have to next season. They still gonna have some contracts. They're gonna have to work on to keep the team looking like this. So they need this. They need this win this year. They need to do what the Rams did last year and run the table, and then worry about the fallout next year.
Yeah. Go ahead, Will. Go ahead.
And it's not like you said with the Jets. Miami, let's not throw Miami like they not coming. And then Bills still keeping the Patriots afloat. So that would be catastrophic for the Bills.
Yeah, it'll be. This is one of the injuries that if it is prolonged, they could miss the playoffs because of the rest of the division is so good. Like we can't forget that even the Patriots is the last place team of 500 right now. So, an extended period of time for Josh being out and Tripp, as we talked about on Sunday, they get the Jets again in 3 weeks, I believe. So they got some important games coming up, starting with this Minnesota game that could really dictate where they plan on going playoff wise and potentially Super Bowl wise. I don't know if I want to slam the window on them just yet because they still have Diggs and Allen under contract for so long. But I do think it would alter things in terms of how you build the rest of that roster, because they're going to lose some guys this offseason. It's just going to happen. You can't have so many years of winning before you start losing guys. And for the Bills, they've already had this, 4 straight playoff appearances with Josh Allen. At some point, the other guys are going to start to tail off, and it's just not going to work out for them. But in terms of this week, I like them. I thought they could win this game until I started hearing the reports about Allen. And I think Vegas believes these reports as well because that line has drastically dropped all week. Last I saw it was down to 3 points in favor of the Bills. And then, there's been reports that obviously it's going to be a drastic swing once we find out if Josh Allen plays. But, Will, I'm going to ask you, put it this way, if Case Keenum plays, let's go there. If Case plays, does Buffalo have a chance to win the game?
I think so, because in spot duty, he's shown before that he can get the job done. If they got the team around them is pretty talented, it's well coached, and it's not like asking him to anchor you for the rest of the season. In spot duty, I think Case Keenum can get the job done against a Vikings team that is up and down. You know what I mean? You really don't know what you get from
You mean to tell me you saw Kirk Cousins video with all this bling on dancing around and you didn't say this is the team that's gonna beat up on the Bills?
Man, that was what that was. It's giving me vibes of like when the Giants was on the boat.
That was a whole different vibe right there. I don't know what they was thinking with that one.
I was getting that kind of feel from it. It's like that ain't Kirk. I mean, the team's having fun with it and all, but that ain't really him. And what time is that game?
That's a 1 o'clock.
Oh, it's a 1. Okay, so okay. Well, they do have that going.
It's not a Kirk Cousins prime special.
Yeah, it's not a day. Yeah, but I don't know. The Vikings just aren't that impressive to me. I watched that game with them in Washington last week, and I was not impressed with what I saw out of the Vikings at all. And if Josh Allen doesn't play, I think they might feel a little bit more, take the foot off the gas a little bit. Think they might have it sweet. So I like the Bills in this spot either way.
And it could be a revenge game for Case Keenum and Stephon Diggs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Trev, how you see it going on Sunday?
I mean, if Josh Allen doesn't play, honestly, I think Minnesota wins that game. Even though I'm not sold on Minnesota just yet, I know what the record says. I'm just not sold on them. Well, you mentioned that game last week. I mean, even though the Washington has played teams tough, but it just for it was 7-1, I believe Minnesota is right now.
Yep.
It didn't look like they were clearly the better team in that game last week, but the Bills not having Josh Allen. You mentioned something earlier, Eric, that's very important. There is no running game in Buffalo if Josh Allen doesn't play. So now, we don't got to worry about putting 8 in the box on every play to stop the run. We can pretty much just have our receivers have extra DBs out there to shut down whatever is left of the pass game, because we ain't worried about the run. And then on the other side of that, you got a very not even very good, a great running back, and Dalvin Cook, who can kind of control the game for Minnesota. So I don't know if Buffalo wins this game if Josh Allen doesn't play.
Yeah, I don't think Buffalo can win this game without Josh Allen, to be honest, because he makes up so much of their offense, and it's too tough to ask your backup quarterback to come in and at least give you some of what he gives you in the passing game, but you can't even make up for what he's giving you in the running game. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, Josh Allen leads the team in rushing right now. So to think that, we'll just Case Keenum a plug and play, I don't think it happens. And I want to apologize. I said it wrong. It wasn't the rotator, it's the UCL, which requires Tommy John surgery, which kind of leads me to believe that they may sit him out anyway, because right now they're calling it a sprain. If it's a complete tear of the UCL, he's got to get Tommy John surgery, and there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Then he's done for the season for sure. So I think they sit him out no matter what this week. And like I said, for Case Keenum, that's a very tough spot to go into against a solid Minnesota team. Do I think Minnesota's the best team in the NFC? No. But Minnesota's good enough to beat you with your backup quarterback. And I don't think that's a spot that Buffalo can win with Case Keenum.
Yeah. The only the advantage they do have is they still have home field in the game, which will probably help. But I don't think it's enough. And now we got to go back a week and look at that a tough loss that they took to the Jets a week ago, and now that loss becomes even bigger, because moving forward, you lose this game again to Minnesota. If Josh Allen doesn't play, now you lose 2 games in a row. Whereas if you won last week, if you had took care of business last week, then now you're talking about the Jets being at 5-4, you guys being at 7-1 going into this game. At least that kind of helps you in the playoff hunt long term, because just that one win is a big win. It would have been a big win because it's a division win. Now you don't have that. You could possibly lose 2 games back to back. This thing could get real spooky for Buffalo moving forward, especially if you say, all right, Eric, we're going to rest them this one game, and they lose to Minnesota, which will give them back-to-back losses. I don't know, man. It's going to be tough because, the Jets and Miami is coming.
Well, and that's a great point. I was going to present this to you because you know how much I love to look at the next couple games. Right now, Will, I'm going to start with you. This is Buffalo's next 6 games. This is why I mentioned that Josh Allen being hurt for an extended period of time could completely tank their season. Next 6 games, starting with Sunday. Let me know how many wins you see here, Will. They're at home against Minnesota, at home against Cleveland. They go to Detroit. Then they got to go to New England. They get the Jets, and then they get Miami. That's their next 6 games.
3-3.
Without Josh Allen, you think they can go 3-3?
Yep. They can beat the Browns. They can beat the Browns. That'd be another revenge game for Case Keenum.
That's a fact.
Then who else did you say?
They got the Lions after that.
and the Lions are a shit show. So I got them winning. I'd have them winning the next 3 and then losing the following 3.
You think they still beat Minnesota without Josh Allen?
Yeah, I got them beating Minnesota with or without Josh Allen.
That Patriots game that's after the Detroit game. So they get Detroit, and then they get Detroit. That's that's the week of Thanksgiving, and then they get New England the next week.
Honestly, I think they go 2-4. If Josh Allen, you told me Josh Allen doesn't play, I think the only 2 games they win is Cleveland and Detroit. On the road to at New England, that's going to be a tough game. You know, Bill Belichick is going to coach the heck out of that game right there. So I don't even see them going on the road and beating New England, and then to come back the following week and then and play the Jets right after that. It's going to be a hungry team, and they're going to be trying to steal the division. That's they really looking forward to that game, especially now they got the confidence up where we beat you guys with Josh Allen being healthy for the most part, and then now you telling me he's not going to be there. Sauce Gardner going to have a fields day.
I think so. The Patriot game, that'll be a revenge game for Bill, because I don't think he liked the way they were embarrassed last year in the playoffs. So he gonna want revenge there. But Sunday might be the big one for Buffalo, because if you could find a way to win Sunday, even if it's without Josh Allen, then you buy yourself a little bit more time, to Will's point, because then you should be able to beat Cleveland, you should be able to beat Detroit, and then maybe you evaluate them before you play that stretch of New England, Jets, and Miami, because that's going to be for the division. I think this division is too good, and when it comes down to those 3 games, to me, that's going to kind of determine who the division winner is. If Buffalo can't lose all 3 of those games and expect to win the division, they got to find a way to come out of there with 1 or 2 victories. But it's going to be interesting to see, man. Again, Josh Allen being out changes everything. I think it changes the whole complexion of the AFC, because now it's no longer just a 2-team race. Now we're not just talking about Buffalo and Kansas City. Now we're talking about Kansas City, and now other teams start to jump in that conversation. Does Miami have enough now? You know what I'm saying? Does Baltimore have enough now? Can the Chargers get healthy enough to get in that mix now? Now the AFC completely gets wide open at that point.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens, man. All right, so Tripp and I got the Vikings. Will, you still taking the Bills? And then on the 49er game, Tripp and I got the Niners. You got the Chargers. We expected that. Let's get to the money picks, though. Let's get to the money picks. Will, you already gave me your upset pick of the week. I want to hear your 401k pick of the week. Again, for people that are tuning in for the first time, make sure you subscribe to the Sanchez Show, streaming across all major platforms. We do this every Friday night. It's the Friday night live series with the opinionated ones as part of the Sanchez Show, 9 p.m. every Friday night. Do remember to tune in Sunday as well at 11 a.m. Real Fans, Real Talk, along with the Sanchez Show. We do a kickoff pregame show leading up to the 1 o'clock games. But for the 401k pick of the week, for the people, again, that are tuning in for the first time, this is where we blindly advise you to cash in everything. Cash in your 401k, any assets, any savings, bet it on one team. Will Gordon, the stage is yours.
Easy for me this week. This team should not even make the trip. They shouldn't play the game. That everybody that bought tickets to this should be refunded. But there's no way that the Jacksonville Jaguars are going to beat the Kansas City Chiefs. With the way Trevor Lawrence has been playing, he's really been letting me down. I thought this was going to be the year you saw the growth, the maturity of Trevor Lawrence under the tutelage of the quarterback whisperer that is Doug Peterson.
Is he really a quarterback whisperer, though?
Well, that's been the resume. I mean, that's been his rep. And when this year, no. Like, I've seen regression. Trevor Lawrence is getting worse.
Just to play devil's advocate, when was Doug Peterson ever the quarterback whisperer, though? What quarterback has he ever made better?
Nick Foles.
Who you saying?
I mean, I'll say I don't know if he made him better.
I said Nick Foles, Trip.
I don't know if he made him better. He made him serviceable.
All right, well, I'll take serviceable. Trevor Lawrence isn't even looking serviceable right now.
That's a fair point. Trevor Lawrence has turned the ball over a lot.
we're talking about the Chiefs here. This is the time of year where they starting to really start to put things together traditionally right around this time of the season. And they now could the Chiefs possibly be looking ahead to the Chargers?
Absolutely. And that's why I didn't take the Chiefs this week.
That's one thing you could say. But I think Andy Reid has enough experience to not do that. And he doesn't want to lose to Doug Peterson, one of his proteges.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna go ahead and give all my kids tuition to the Chiefs this week.
Yeah, that's the one game I looked at it. I'm a little skeptical, just as you mentioned, because this is the prototypical trap game. As we already talked about, Kansas City has the Chargers next week. That's going to be a primetime game. Everybody's going to be talking about it, potentially first place on the line. And as much as I love the Chiefs, I could see them sleepwalking through this game because they walk through last week's game against Tennessee. And I could see them kind of like, we're not really up for it. You know, it's a Jaguar team we're supposed to beat up on. Then next thing you know, the Jaguars are hanging tough. Trevor Lawrence makes 1 or 2 plays, and this game is lost last second. I think Kansas City should beat them. I'm just not confident enough to put them in a 401k. Trip, let me hear your 401k for this week.
Let me just say this. If Kansas City gonna sleepwalk through this game and Mahomes gonna get me another 400 passing yards, let him sleep. Because last week he was killing. Yeah, last week he killed for me in fantasy football. So let him sleepwalk again if that's the case. I was gonna pick this game as well, but since Will picked this game, I'm gonna go a different route, and I'm gonna take Dallas as my 401k pick. I know they're going on the road to Green Bay, but Green Bay's been horrible this season, so bad, and Aaron Rodgers has been so bad this season. This is the first time I've ever seen this, Eric. In one of my fantasy leagues, I just happened to be going through the waiver pool, and I see Aaron Rodgers in the waiver pool.
I just cut him in the league.
It threw my whole train of thought because I never thought Aaron Rodgers in the waiver pool at this point in the season. It was crazy to me that Aaron Rodgers was there sitting there like that. So I'm gonna take this one. Dallas, is one of the better teams in the NFC. They're healthy right now. They got Dak back. I think he's kind of getting back into the swing of things. He had a pretty good game last week. And I think they pretty much just go and go to Green Bay and do whatever the heck they want to do.
Yeah, I like that. Dallas is really good. That defense is good. Micah Parsons probably defensive player of the year. And Green Bay, I mean, to speak on how bad they've been this year, they 4-point underdogs at home, which is almost unheard of for them in Lambeau. But it just shows you that nobody believes in Green Bay. I think this is one of those games that this officially will end their season. Because if Minnesota is able to win in Buffalo and they lose this game, at that point, Minnesota would be up, I think, 5 games in the division. And we're only in the middle of November. Yeah, it's over at that point. You're not catching them. But I like Dallas. For me, Will, I thought you was going to name this game. But when you said a team shouldn't even make the trip, I thought you were talking about the Commanders. Because the Commanders, I know it's a short drive for them or short flight, whatever you want to call it. They're not beating the Eagles on Monday night. It's not happening.
Yeah, I don't think so.
I mean, I'm not picking Washington for that, but I think it's going to be a lot closer than people think.
I don't think so. I think the Eagles are pretty good. I think too much is being made of who the Eagles have played so far as opposed to how well the Eagles have played.
Yeah.
I don't think any of us are really shocked by how well Tyler Heinicke has played because we all said that he knew the playbook better than Carson Wentz.
He hasn't really played that well.
And that's my point. But to the outside, the people who didn't know about this team, to them is like, oh, he helped orchestrate a 3-game winning streak. It's like, well, he knew the playbook better. He was a better fit for this offense than Carson Wentz was. And he hasn't lit the world on fire. He just made a couple key throws at times. But this is a tough spot for them. This Eagle team is very balanced. This Eagle team jumps out on you very quick and forces you to play from behind. I also, again, this is not going to be one of them trap games because this is a division rival. So the Eagles will love nothing more than to embarrass the Commanders on Monday night. Will, we didn't get a chance to speak about it last week, but since we're talking Commanders, Daniel Snyder, is he selling the team? Is he not selling the team? The Attorney General now has come out and made some very harsh statements about the team. The Commanders, And I know there'll be people who see the stuff behind me and be like, oh, you're a Knicks fan. How can you say that? There is no organization that is run worse than the Commanders. Like the Commanders were so upset that the Attorney General was about to release a statement that they tried to use Brian Robinson, a rookie who was just shot in the leg, as a reference point in this press release. So, Will, I know you have a lot to say about Daniel Snyder and the Commanders. Here's your alley-oop.
Listen, is he going to sell the team? Yeah. I mean, it's. I don't think all this is for show. You know, is he going to get $7 billion for the team? Yeah. So, I mean, for real, like it's pretty much a done deal. I'm hearing it's going to be done by the league meetings in March. That they'll have a new owner before the draft even. When you look at the timeline, it's like when old boy down in Carolina had to sell. I forget his name. When he had to sell, it only took like 3 to 6 months for that process to happen. I think this is going to be something that happens swiftly. Now, what does that mean for the fan base and for the NFL? Hopefully, you get an owner in there that is going to run an organization professionally. This is going to exude professionalism as far as the way you conduct your business on and off the field. And, more power. I wish the fan base of Washington nothing but the best. Hopefully, they get a new owner in there that changes that horrible name from the Commanders to anything that, it's a litany of names that could be better than the Commanders. But you just hope for that fan base that's been wanting a winner for so long to finally maybe see the light at the end of the tunnel and be able to root for a winning organization again. You just want to see Snyder out of it. If this is really going down, you just want it to happen. You don't want it to be some long drawn out process. You just want to get it done, move on, put the last 25 years behind you, and hopefully that team can root for win football and get back to making his way back to Super Bowls like the prominence of the Washington Redskins franchise that was one of the cornerstones of the NFL that Daniel Snyder has single-handedly been able to completely deteriorate to one of the laughing stocks in sports.
Now Tripp and I already on record, so I'm gonna double down. If Jay-Z's part of this group with Jeff Bezos, and then they hired Deion Sanders as the head coach, I'm a fan. I'm gonna be honest. That's gonna be my new favorite team. I've already said that.
You want Prime coach?
I want Prime. Prime deserves to coach. Listen, no disrespect, but if Jeff Saturday could be a head coach, Prime should be a coach. Just call it what it is.
Wait, hold on, because Deion actually is a coach right now.
Right,
has an undefeated team right now.
Right,
that's a little bit different than Jeff Saturday, who has no coaching experience.
I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that as a slight to Deion. I'm saying that as praise for Deion. That if Jeff Saturday, and don't get me wrong, I think Jeff Saturday as a player, all his accomplishments are well deserved. He was an undrafted center who became a multiple-time Pro Bowler, a Super Bowl winner, and is in the Hall of Fame. So I don't knock anything Jeff Saturday has done as a player. But if you're telling me you can go from a guy who's never coached on the collegiate level or the pro level in any capacity, we're not talking about like a line coach, nothing. If you can completely jump the line and be a head coach, then Deion, coming from an HBCU, should immediately go to the front of the line because at least he's shown you that he can relate to the players and he can coach.
Call a spade, all right? Jim Irsay, okay, I should probably say allegedly, because this goes out on the interwebs, Jim Irsay is allegedly a pill-popping drunk.
No, that's not allegedly. That's a fact.
Okay. I'm about to say, didn't he get caught?
And listen, I'm a Colts fan. I'm a Colts fan, but like you said, we're going to call a spade a spade. He is the owner of the team that I root for, but he was pulled over intoxicated with prescription medication in the front seat.
I think a lot of the decisions he makes are very, very, we'll say, impulsive. And I know from being around certain people that like certain vices that a lot of bad decisions can be made in, a lot of impulsive decisions can be made when you are under the influence.
So wait, hold on. I just want to stop you here because tripping out is a joke we always have. So you're telling me it's not the best idea to make business decisions when strippers and cocaine are around?
Exactly. And
right,
I think
I just want to trip. I just want to be sure we're on the same page. All right.
I feel like Irsay just, he like even going back to like the whole Carson Wentz experiment last year, where they ended it a lot more prematurely than most people thought. I think he's just like, nope, get rid of him. Let's go with Matt Ryan. Come on. Let's
Well,
Matt
I
Ryan.
don't think they ever wanted. I don't think they ever wanted Carson Wentz. I think Frank Wright really went to bat for him, and that's why they went that route. But I don't think they ever really wanted Carson Wentz. It was more of like, that's your guy. You say you could do things with him. All right, so we're gonna trust you.
Yeah.
Did you see Joe Thomas's comments on the hire?
Joe Thomas was out of line, though. I think he was out of line.
Why?
Because to minimize, like what I started saying about Jeff Saturday, to minimize what Jeff Saturday has accomplished in the game, and say, oh, you hired your drinking buddy. You're talking about a Hall of Fame center who's a 6-time Pro Bowler and a Super Bowl champion. Joe Thomas ain't never been on a winning team.
Both can be true.
I don't think. No.
Well, let me say this. Let me ask this question, fellas. Would this have happened if, like, could you see a black coach being pulled up with no experience whatsoever and just, all right, you about to be the head coach of this whatever professional NFL football team?
It could happen. The difference is, though, most times black head coaches are given a terrible job, and then it's like, oh, figured out. You
won't see that, Trip, is because this is a who you know situation,
right?
Yes,
and we're not in no position of power to hire. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely,
someone's there to do it. You know, so I can't see it happening because we're not in a position of power to make that hire.
Absolutely,
no, that's a fact. Absolutely. You're 1000% correct. Well, I just think the reason I think Joe Thomas was wrong, like I said, is because he completely brushed over all of Jeff Saturday's accomplishments as a player and made it seem like he was just a guy who had Irsay's ear. At the end of the day, whether we like the move or not, I don't like the move. And Will, you and I talked about this off air. I'm not a fan of the move, but I can understand the move because you're talking about somebody who's one of the most respected guys within the organization. Jeff Saturday was still a consultant for the team up until he was hired as head coach. He was a guy, and he said so himself in a press conference, that this is a difficult spot to be in because I sat in those meetings with Frank Wright and I consulted the team. So we're not talking about some guy who had no experience being around the team or never played the game. And that's why I think what Joe Thomas said is a little off base, because it's like, so we're going to ignore what he was as a player and make it seem like he's just a drinking buddy of a coach. So he's not in the Colts Ring of Honor. He's not in the Hall of Fame, a Super Bowl winner.
Yeah. He's not somebody that just picked up off the street and said, yo, here, coach the team.
Yeah.
But he just doesn't have the experience.
He doesn't have the experience to coach a team. And everybody's correct in saying that. And if you're going to say, and I feel this way about it too, because one of my favorite players of all time is Reggie Wayne. If you're going to pick a guy as a first-time head coach with ties to the organization, why not go Reggie Wayne? Reggie Wayne's already on the coaching staff. He's the wide receivers coach for the last 2 years. So if you wanted to give somebody a shot in the short term and see if it works out, maybe this guy got a little something, give it to Reggie Wayne. He's already there. He got the respect of the locker room. He works with those guys every day.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, he hired his boy, his drinking buddy, as Joe Thomas said.
You know what I think happened? No. You know what I think happened? And I told you this too, Will. I think they consulted Peyton Manning, and Peyton Manning spoke very highly of Jeff Saturday. That's what I think happened.
But see, the thing is, though, when Jeff Saturday himself says, I had to ask, why did you want me as the coach? That's what it's like, where it's like, well, maybe he did just hire his drinking buddy. And not to say, when I'm saying drinking buddy, not to say, yeah, he's just a random Joe Schmo he used to drink with off the street. But, you know, we part of the club. That's my boy. I'm gonna give him the shot over, let's say, a Reggie Wayne, who might not. Reggie Wayne does have the experience because he's as an assistant coach with the team. But that's why I'll take him over Reggie Wayne, because maybe we do have that type of rapport.
And honestly,
you telling me you couldn't see Jeff Saturday kicking it one night in the suite or wherever, you know, drinks is flowing, thongs is out.
Of course.
You can't see. You telling me you really can't see Ursay saying, you know what, man? You should coach the team.
Of course. Of course.
You can't do no worse than what we've been doing right now.
Hold on. Right, exactly. But listen, I'm not gonna throw no names under the bus. But Trip and I'm not gonna throw no names under the bus. Trip and I have had the privilege of sitting down with some established NBA guys and having some drinks in the Madison Square Garden. And if they came to us and be like, you know what, man, you guys sound like y'all know what y'all do. Man, listen, I'm gonna get y'all a little assistant GM job. What I'm gonna tell them, nah, don't do that, man. Fuck that. Yeah, all right. If you want me to do it, I'm gonna do it to the best of my ability. But I also think some of this is being blown out of proportion, right? He's the interim head coach for this season. Let's say the coach lose every game down the stretch. You think he's gonna be the head coach to start next year? Probably not.
I would hope not.
Right. So then, like at that point, that's when I can understand the outrage. Like, yo, he just showing you. But if you give the guy a job for half a season and he don't do the job, then he's out of there anyway. There's a tanking situation. This ain't no different. And no disrespect to this particular coach. John Harbaugh of the Baltimore Ravens was a special teams coach before he got the head coaching job. Was he qualified for that job? Probably not. He used to work with kickers and punters. He got the job. Was he a drinking buddy?
No, well, I don't think so. I don't think he's a drinking buddy of the owners.
I'm just saying, but that goes back to Will's point of you in that room and certain people like you and like your personality and like what you bring to the table. I give you a shot. Ultimately, my point, and not to knock Harbaugh, I'm just saying that there are a lot of guys who aren't really qualified for the job. It just looks worse because Jeff Saturday is over in the middle of the season. Yeah. But there's a lot of guys who get the job who probably Cliff Kingsbury was never qualified for the job. Whose drinking buddy was he?
Eric, you got a vendetta against Kingsbury, and I'm like at this point, I need to see him go too for your sake, because I don't want nothing to happen to you, and you be all stressed out because he's still coaching.
Like if something happened to Cliff Kingsbury, they'll go back to all these episodes. They be like,
Mr. Sanchez,
like when they put the face of the suspect up on the board. It'd be a picture.
I'm gonna have to go online and delete. I'm gonna have to delete all these episodes.
You are the prime suspect. If anything was to happen to that man.
I'm gonna have to go back.
So on this episode, Mr. Sanchez, you kept saying how you didn't want him there, he didn't deserve it, he shouldn't be there. You know, we need to talk to you, Mr. Sanchez.
I'm gonna have to go back and delete all these episodes now that y'all said that. I'm gonna have to go back. But let's get back to the
catalog. We go.
That's a lot of episodes, bro.
Just wipe everything out and start fresh.
Okay.
It'd be like 6 episodes left.
Yeah. Just I'll delete everything from prior to Cliff Kingsbury being a head coach. Just get it all out. Got to go that route. Let's get back to the picks though. Trip, you got Dallas as your 401k pick. Will, I know you got the Chargers as your upset pick, so I'm gonna go with Trip here. Who's your upset pick?
I'm gonna go with, you know what? I gotta go with my man Geno Smith, Seattle, baby. I think they upset Tom Brady and the Bucks, man. I've been watching Tom Brady. That's my guy. You know, Tom Brady is my guy. I've been talking about Tom Brady for a long time. And he's actually, I think it's crazy because he's actually second, I believe, in the league in passing yards right now. So he's actually playing, solid, but they just don't have anything right now in Tampa. And I think that, Seattle is hot right now. Geno's looking good. They're playing very well. They got the running game going with the young kid Walker. DK is there, Tyler Lockett. They're playing some really good football. I like the way they're being coached. And on the other side of that, Tampa Bay is just horrible right now. We know we spoke about the injuries that they've been dealing with, but they are struggling. And I know, you can still get that Brady magic in the last couple of seconds where he'll run down the field, and with 9 seconds left, he throws, is touchdown there in the end zone. But I don't think this game is that close because the Seahawks actually have an offense, whereas, the Rams, who they played last week, have been horrible all season as well. So it was like the battle of the the trash cans last week. I think Seattle upsets Tampa in this game.
I like that one. I like that one a lot, and I agree with you. I had Seattle as well as my upset pick of the week. Tampa Bay is trash right now, and that's nothing against Tom. It's just it is what it is. The line is bad. The receivers are bad. The running game, they still continue to force feed Leonard Fournette. We talked about this Sunday.
What you say? What you say he was doing, Eric? You say he was still working his stuff into shape?
Apparently, he's still working himself into game shape. Because when you're in week 9, Will, and you have 9 carries for 19 yards, I can only assume that's what you're doing. You're trying to work yourself back into game shape. There's a terrible team right now. The Seahawks on the flip, though, the Seahawks have been a very good team, good defensive team. I got to apologize. I used to knock their cornerback named Kobe Bryant, but he's actually been pretty good. So I take back the criticism. I got to take that back. Will, I had some comments about Kobe Bryant to start the year.
No,
play better now.
No, this is okay. What's the line in this game? Because that's kind of
last time I saw it.
Oh,
let me see what it is. I thought Tampa was the last time I checked it. Yeah, Tampa's favored by 2.5.
About 2.5. Yep.
Okay, that's kind of disrespectful. That's just
very disrespectful.
Yeah, I guess because the home game, maybe.
They're in Germany.
They're in Germany.
Oh, well then you know what? No, that's crazy. Yeah, I don't know that. Yeah, that's wild, bro.
Yeah, I don't understand that one at all. Tampa Bay is just, like I said, they've been bad. Their division is terrible. Atlanta losing yesterday. If the Buccaneers lose, they'll be 4-6 and still somehow be leading the division. In division, they will probably be a place team, but in this division, they could make the playoffs.
It's very reminiscent of the NFC East about 3 years ago.
You're talking about the 7 and 9 year when the Commanders / football team had like quarterbacks.
Yeah.
You know, I was talking to one of my mans, Trip. You know him, my man. Oh, he's a Bears fan. Shout out to my man. Oh, he's in Chicago this weekend for the Lions game against the Bears, and
nice.
I'm happy for him because this is the first time in his life he's seen the Bears with a good quarterback. He's waited a long time. They finally have one. But we were talking about the whole Ron Rivera saga there and everything, and then he reminded me that year that y'all made the playoffs at 7 and 9, y'all trotted out Alex Smith on one leg against Aaron Donald. And it might have been the scariest live moment in my life because I'm like, yo, they gonna snap this dude's leg again. You remember that, Will? Like, what was going on there, man?
What do you expect?
Were you a fan still at that point?
Yeah, Alex Smith. I was still there.
That was the point. That was the point for Will in a relationship where it was kind of ending. So he was already starting to flirt. Like he was looking at other teams. Like, hey, look what's going on over there.
I was already responding to texts and shit.
you was like, we're about 2 months away from this shit being over anyway, so it's all right.
Yeah. Hey, big head.
Right. Nah, but I thought about that. I thought about that the other day. Like, yo, that was a wild time. If you're a Commanders fan, I want to hear from the Commanders fans because that's a wild time that Ron Rivera was so desperate for a quarterback. Remember, he benched Haskins. They went to Taylor. Mm-hmm. Then they went to Alex Smith in a game against the Rams. He out there, and they went with Alex Smith for like 4 straight weeks before he got injured.
Yeah, that was rough.
A dude that ain't played football in 2 years.
This is an NFL history to me. Well, like people, if you really break down Ron Rivera's career, he had one good year in like 13 when he had Cam Newton at the peak of his powers as MVP Cam Newton. Yeah. Every year was trash. Ron Rivera has made the playoffs twice with below 500 records. And those are the only times, like there's those 2 years and the year they were 15-1 and Cam Newton was the MVP. And the only times he's ever made the playoffs. You made the playoffs with 7 wins twice.
Yeah, that's crazy.
It man, come on, bro. You were trash, bro.
Yeah, but that's wild, bro.
He's 18 and 24 since he's come to DC.
That's not good.
Why is he still there? Why is he not on the hot seat?
That's bro. And especially, and then this is what he says, because I still listen to DC radio every day. He says, well, guys, it's not going to change overnight. And this
Overnight? How long you been there, bro?
Yeah, this is a great line. This happened like 4 or 5 weeks ago. He said that, well, it's not going to change overnight. And the DC sports writer, he wrote, it's not going to change overnight, but he's been here 1,079 nights. Like, hilarious. But then in the same division, you look at what the Giants are doing. They're not in year 3 still struggling. They're year 1 looking like a good football team, making Daniel Jones look like he's confident. Then you look at Philly. Old boy took over last year. How many games have they lost? You know what I'm saying?
Well, games? We didn't even know who he was when they signed him, Eric. Remember that? We were talking about who is this dude?
He took Jalen Hurts, who nobody wanted last year, and won 9 games with him. And now this year they're undefeated.
Now they're undefeated. Yeah. So your division is happening overnight. You know
what's crazy? Ron Rivera's record, right? If you look at his career total, as we're talking about it, he's 94-87, which seems decent. But then when you really deep dive it, this is his 12th year as an NFL coach. He's only had 3 winning seasons. His record only looks decent because of that 15-1 year with Carolina when they went to the Super Bowl. If you take that 15-1 year away, it's terrible because his only 3 winning seasons he's ever had in his, like I said, his coaching career. He won 12 games with Carolina in 2013. They won 15 games in 2015, and they won 11 games in 2017. Other than that, his high total was 7 wins. He's had a losing record every other year.
He's never had back-to-back winning seasons. And that's what you give the keys to?
Yeah, that's
since he's come to DC, 7-9, 7-10, and right now he's working on another looks like 7-win season as they're 4-5. 7's his lucky number. Some people 7 is just their lucky number, man.
I guess so, because that's crazy.
That's not even your hand of spades.
Man, yes, sir. Ron Rivera is trash, man. Listen, we getting ready to wrap up, man. Again, this is the Opinionated Ones on a Friday night. Tune in next Friday, 9 p.m. We back at it again. Make sure you also tune in Sunday, 11 a.m. Real Fans, Real Talk with the Sanchez Show as we go live up until kickoff. Let's go around the horn, though. Before we wrap up, Will, I'm going to start with you, man. Any final thoughts?
Missed being with y'all last week. Like I said, I was on the road. But I do want to say it was interesting that trip that you had the Chargers as your 401k last week. Because blasphemously, I picked against the Chargers in my pick and pool last week.
What?
Yeah, I thought it was the spot. I didn't like the spot. And if you watch the game, they did everything they could to give Atlanta did everything they could to give us that game.
Yeah.
It ended up being that way. That was the kind of game that, as a fan, it would sound weird, but I wanted to lose because I think that game, if we had lost that game, that would have been more of a fast track to get Brandon Staley up out of there.
Yeah.
And I'm on my new, I always got to have a hashtag out. So I'm about to start putting some stuff out on Staley, like on the decisions he makes, the games he makes us lose. So the new movement, gentlemen, is I'm hating for Peyton.
Peyton Manning? Peyton Manning ain't got no head coaching experience.
Sean Payton.
Oh, my fault. I thought you were talking about first time head coaches. I thought Peyton was gonna get that job.
I think next year, I think Sean Payton's going to be the belle of the ball. He's going to be able to pick a job because I think he's definitely going to get back in the coaching next year. And with that roster that we've spoke about ad nauseum and that quarterback in place, I think we're the most attractive situation for him.
Yeah,
he wants to come in and steal his offense and win football games. So I'm sorry, Coach Staley, you shouldn't have had the job. I'm hating for Peyton, baby.
Yeah, that's going to be the most coveted job. We talked about it several times. LA, new stadium, young quarterback on his rookie deal with a lot of weapons. It's definitely going to be. Yeah, it's going to be definitely the most coveted.
One more thing, just real quick. this is not going to happen. But I was like, so like my whole exodus to LA, and I'm still Wizards till I die. I was like, man, I was just shooting the shit with my boy the other night. I was like, it would be crazy if I want to go to a game at SoFi, and then I was like, I also want to go to a game in a Laker game. You know what I mean? That's kind of, if you're going to go to an NBA game, probably the best show is going to be a Laker game. When you guys agree,
one of the best, yeah.
Yeah.
If not the best, one of the best, yeah.
Yeah. So I was like, wouldn't it be dope if the Wizards played in LA like on Saturday, and then the Chargers were home on Sunday? So I cross-reference schedules. On December 18th of this season, Sunday, the Chargers are at home for the Titans, and the Wizards play the Lakers that night. The Chargers game's at 1:30, and the Wizards game's at 6:30.
You heading out there?
Stay tuned, gentlemen.
So you're gonna try to do both?
It's a whole lot, because it's a whole lot of pieces that need to be moved around on the chessboard. But that would be some crazy live footage. Chargers game early, Lakers this evening, 24 hours, just fly in the morning, fly out late that night. That'd be crazy. But stay tuned. We gonna see what can happen with that.
Yeah, that'll be dope, man. If you pull it off, let us know. We want to see the footage, man.
Word, epic.
Trip, before we wrap up, man, any final thoughts?
Yeah, I got two things really quick. Let me shout out my guys. They coming off their bye week right now. They about to go into the playoffs. As they try to repeat as state champions. Holy Trinity, Long Island football. Shout out to my guys, Nick, Rocco, Irv, JB, get healthy, my brother. Shout out to Coach Roy as well. They about to embark on this journey to repeat, which is very hard to do, to repeat as champions, but they start this Saturday. So big shout out to those guys. I know they're gonna do their thing tomorrow, get that dub and move on. So we try and get back to the Super Bowl, because I need to hold a trophy, because I feel like it's partly my trophy, because you know how like everybody get a ring, even the trainers and stuff like that, and the water boys, they get rings. So when they win, I feel like I win, I get a ring as well. Last time they won the chip, they came to the station when we was in Brooklyn, and they brought the trophy out there. So I'm looking forward to seeing those guys do their thing tomorrow. And secondly, I gotta shout out my guys, Eli Manning and Fabio. They got a track together they just put out, just running up the charts. The numbers been running up and running up. So I need y'all to help get the numbers, to keep going through the roof. I think Eli might drop an album, and I'm telling you, I'm here for it. If Eli drops an album, I'm copping it.
See that joint yesterday.
I did see that, yeah, with Favi, Eli, and Sean O'Hara.
Yes.
Sean O'Hara was on that as well.
You gotta love it, man.
Yorkers, real quick, what's the vibe on this kid, Fabio? How y'all feel about this dude?
Favi's hot in the city right now. Yeah, he's major in the city.
He done been on what's the show on ABC, Queens. He done did a couple episodes of Queens. He's doing his thing. He's doing his numbers. He just opened up, even though the audio was a little bit bad, but he just opened up at the Barclays Center was like a week or so ago. He's doing his numbers.
Now he signed the Mace, right?
Yeah,
that's what
I think it's a management contract.
Yeah, it's a weird situation because I guess he was saying he was signed under Mace. Mace was saying it was more like a management where I'm gonna get him to a bigger label and that whole situation. But Favi's been doing this thing in the city for a minute. Pop Smoke was kind of the one that kind of brought him to the light for everybody. RP to Pop Smoke.
What a lot of people was vibing with up there, right? I know a lot of people was feeling with it.
Pop was that young dude. Pop was going to really blow up. Pop was on that 50 vibe, before he got murdered out there in Cali.
Asking, I'm an old head, so I be on that. So I still be listening to the old. I'm on Method Man and Nas. And
well, Nas just dropped a new joint.
You think I ain't got it? Come on, man.
I know you. I'm sure
they got a song together too. Favi and Nas. They got a song together. They got it was spicy. Favi, Nas, and ASAP Ferg.
Because I don't be my ear don't be to the streets like that no more. Like what the youngest is listening to it on. I was just wanted to know what the New Yorker vibe is. That's what I was saying on some downtime. That's gonna be a top 10. We're gonna have to do top 10 new MCs. That'd be hot.
Well, think about it. Fabi got songs right now with Quavo. He got Khaled. He got Alicia Keys, Kanye. Fabi is that guy right now.
Yeah, Fabi's album was solid too. I don't listen to all the young boys. Trip be knowing about all the drill rappers. Trip be knowing every drill rapper. He be knowing the first album, everything.
Facts.
Listen to Fab, Fabulous, Jada, them type Method Man, like I said, Red Man, like them type dudes. Black Thought, Star, gonna be. Oh yeah, let me shout out that to everybody. Saturday Night Live tomorrow night. It's gonna be fire. Dave Chappelle hosting.
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
most def
for the culture. For the culture, that's gonna be big for the culture tomorrow night. But I'll be on the young boys. I don't really that young Russ.
Yeah,
that's my young dude that I be really vibing with. That kid Russ. He got bars.
Yeah, I like Russ.
We're gonna set that show up. We're gonna do that when we've done our top 10 MCs, but we're gonna top 10 NYCs of all time. So we're gonna set that up. We're gonna find a date to do well. But we'll be back next Friday, 9 p.m. And again, tune in Sunday for my main man Will Gordon, my brother Trip Young. I am Eric Sanchez. We are the Opinionated Ones, and we will see you guys next week. We out of here.
Peace.